Hello developers, welcome back to the programming fields. I'm Umesh Rana. In the today's video, we will dive into Laravel 11 Fortify. This is a robust authentication package. Whether you are a beginner or an experienced developer, this guide will help you set up and customize Fortify in your Laravel applications. But before moving ahead, let's quickly know about the Laravel Fortify. But before getting started, if you have not subscribed yet to Programming Fields, then please subscribe it and hit the like button because this takes lots of effort to prepare contents for you. Alright, so let's continue to what is Laravel Fortify. The Fortify is an authentication backend for Laravel. This provides all the routes and controllers necessary for user authentication. It covers the features like user registration, login, two-factor authentication, email verification, password reset, profile update, and many other features. So you can think of it as a customizable scaffolding for building secure authentication systems unlike Laravel Breeze or Jetstream. Fortify focuses purely on backend authentication logic and it leaves the frontend entirely up to you. So there won't be any front-end involvement of Laravel Fortify, and that's why it is called a front-end agnostic package. That means it will deliver the backend logic only. Since Fortify is headless, that means it does not provide any front-end views out of the box. Instead, it is designed to handle authentication via API or custom views. To implement the front-end views for Fortify's authentication features, you can either manually create views and forms using Blade or any other front-end framework, or you can use any Laravel starter kits just like Breeze or Jetstream. These starter kits will quickly provide the auth scaffolding that provides the front-end views for registration, login, password reset, etc. Hence, you are free to go with the custom views or any inbuilt starter kit for the auth scaffolding for the front-end views only. Rest, Laravel Fortify will manage the backend authentication process behind the hood. So let's get started to implement the authentication in the Laravel 11 using Fortify. First thing first, let's start with the Laravel installation. So I will type Laravel new and I will give the application name, let's suppose Fortify Auth app. Let's hit enter. Here it prompted, do you need any starter kit for this Laravel project? If you want to opt it and you want to go with the custom views, then don't go with the any starter kit. But if you want to use any inbuilt authentication views, just like from Laravel Breeze or from Jetstream, then you can choose any starter kit from here. So it totally depends on you. If you want to manage the authentication views, that means all the front-end Blade files manually, then you no need to choose any starter kit from here. But if you want to use the inbuilt authentication Blade files, which are provided by Laravel Breeze or Laravel Jetstream, then you can choose any of these starter kit. So I will choose Laravel Breeze. I will hit enter. Here it asked which Breeze stack would you like to install. I will choose the default Blade with Alpine. Next it asked would you like dark mode support. I will choose no. And for the testing framework, I will go with the Pest. Let's hit enter. I don't want to initialize the Git repository, so I will say no. Now this started creating Laravel Fortify app. Yes, the application has been installed. Now regarding the database, it is asking which database we want to use. I will choose SQLite. Let's hit enter. This said, would you like to run the default database migrations? I will go with the default yes. So it installed Laravel Breeze and here this installed Laravel Pest for the testing framework. Now it is installing node modules for the front-end dependencies. Yes. So Laravel Breeze scaffolding has been installed successfully and accordingly it installed the front-end dependencies using node modules. Now in the next step, let's head into the project folder. So we have the project folder as Fortify Auth app. Now I will open this in the VS Code editor. Okay, project has been opened in the VS Code editor. Now let's click on the composer.json file. Here we can see we have the Laravel Breeze package installed. Now in the next step, we will start the application. So I will type php artisan serve. Yes, project has been started on 8000 port. Now let's check out the browser. Let's try to access the project. Yes, Laravel installation is successful and our project is running here. Now in the home page, we have the login and register option provided by Laravel Breeze. If we'll click on login, we are able to open this login page. We have the forget password. Similarly, we have the register page. Alright. So these all authentications are currently managed using the Laravel Breeze package. But here, I don't want to use the Breeze auth scaffolding for the backend implementation. Only I need the front-end views, that means only the Blade templates. Just like we need the login form, register form, forgot password, password reset, and the profile things. And all the backend implementation for these all authentication process will be handled using the Laravel Fortify package. So in this case, we don't need these all routes provided by Laravel Breeze. If I will come to the terminal, and here if I will type php artisan route colon list, you will see Laravel Breeze provided these all authentication routes. So firstly, let's comment these all routes. So let's come to the application. Inside the routes folder, we have the web.php, and we can see we have the auth route added here, and this auth route is coming from this Laravel Breeze. So what I will do, firstly I will deregister this auth.php route, and now regarding these profile options, let me comment this, also this dashboard. Alright, so now in the web.php, we don't have any registered route apart from the welcome blade. Let me remove this profile controller as well, because Laravel Fortify does not need any controller to manage the authentication process. Now let's come to the terminal again. Let's rerun the command php artisan route list. Now you can see we have only 3 routes by default. This is for home page. Alright, now let's come to the browser again and let's go back to the home page. Let's refresh our application, and now we can see we don't have any login and register option activated here. So let's navigate to the official documentation of Laravel Fortify. Here we have the Laravel Fortify. This package is managed by Laravel community itself. So let's click on this Laravel Fortify. Now let's scroll down and let's come under this installation section. Here we have the command to install Laravel Fortify package. Let's copy this. Let's come to the terminal. Let's paste this command. Let's hit enter. Now this is installing Laravel Fortify. Let's verify this installation in the composer.json file. Yes, we have the Laravel Fortify installed. Now let's complete the other steps. Now we will have to install the Fortify so that this will publish the resources provided by Fortify. But before executing this command, if you will come to the project folder, inside app, we have the controllers, and inside this controller, we have the auth folder, and this auth folder is managed by Laravel Breeze package. So what I will do, I will remove this entire auth folder because this is not required, because when we will install Fortify, that will provide all the resources to manage the authentication process. So let me delete the Breeze authentication controllers first. We have deleted the auth folder and all the respective controllers. We have the profile controller only. So we will use this profile controller in order to delete the profile. So as of now, I will keep it here. Now next we have the request folder inside HTTP. So inside this request, we have the auth folder. Inside this, we have the login request. So also we don't need this. Let me delete this folder. Also this profile update request is not required. So better I will delete this entire request folder. This is done. And let's check this providers folder. inside the providers folder, we have the default app service provider. Now if we'll come under the resources folder, we have the views and we have the auth folder. So mostly we will be using the front end views to manage the authentication process. So let's keep these all views here as it is. Now let's come to the official documentation again, and here let's copy this command php artisan fortify install. Come to the terminal, let's paste that command and let's hit enter. Here we can see this added the Fortify scaffolding. Now let's come to the project folder again. We can see inside app folder we have the actions folder now, and inside the actions we have the Fortify action, and Fortify provided these all actions to manage the authentication process. Now inside the controllers, it has not added any controller. This is same. Let's check out this providers folder now. Inside this providers folder, this has added a Fortify service provider. Alright. Inside this Fortify service provider, if you'll scroll down, we have the boot method, and inside this boot method, Fortify has registered these all actions to manage the authentication process. Alright. I will come to this later. Now let's come to the config folder. Inside config folder, we can see this added one configuration file for the Fortify. Let's click on this. We have the default Fortify guard as web guard. Next we have the password things. So this will be managed through users table only. Next we have the username and email. So Laravel Fortify considers username to email by default, and email is by default email. So in the case if you want to change the username from email to any other field, then you can customize it from here. Let's scroll down. Here we have the property to store the usernames in the lowercase. Next we have the home path. So by default, Fortify will redirect on the home route after the successful login. Next, if we'll scroll down, we have the route prefixes and subdomain that we can change it here. Next we have the middleware. So this is by default web middleware. Also this provides rate limiter for the login and two-factor authentication. And next we have the register view routes. So Fortify provides the authentication for the single page application. That means if you are creating any single page application, in that case you don't need the views, so you can disable it from here, and in that case Fortify will manage the authentication using API only. Therefore you can use this Fortify for the REST API as well. Now let's come to the features section. Laravel Fortify provide these all features just like registration, reset password, email verification, update profile information, update password, and two-factor authentication. In the case if you don't want to use these all features, you can simply comment that. Now let's come to the browser. Let's come to the application. Let's refresh it again. Yes. Now we have the login and register option provided by Fortify auth scaffolding. If you will try to click on login, you can see this said login view response is not instantiable. Why? Because Fortify does not contain the front end views to manage the forms just like login and register. So currently it is not able to understand on the login route which blade file or which view this should open. So if you will come to the terminal again, and if you will run php artisan route list, then you can see Laravel Fortify has added these all routes. Here we have the forget password, login, logout, register, reset password, two-factor challenge, confirm password, profile update, and two-factor authentication things. Alright. And if you will disable some of the features from the Laravel Fortify configuration, let's suppose I want to disable these all features. I have commented these all. If I will try to rerun this route list command, we can see all those routes are not displaying now. If we'll come to the browser, if we'll go back and let's refresh this application, and now you can see we don't have the register option, only we have the login option here. So in this video, I will start with the registration option first. So I will simply uncomment this registration option. Okay, and if I will refresh it here, we can see we have the login and register option now. Now if I will click on the register option, this thrown error, that means register view is not instantiable. So by clicking on the register, we will have to open the register view, and if we'll come to the project folder, inside the resources views folder, we have the auth folder, and this auth folder is added by Laravel Breeze package. Inside this auth folder, we have the register.blade.php, we have the login. All right. So what I want, when I will redirect to the register route, I want to open this form. This is basically our register form. So for this, Laravel Fortify provides few function that we will have to add it inside the Fortify service provider. So if we'll search for the registration, here we have the registration option. So inside the Fortify service provider, we will have to add this function in order to display the register form. So let's copy this. Let's come to the VS Code editor. Let me close these all. Under the providers, we have the Fortify service provider. So we can see inside the boot method, we have the Fortify actions registered here. So at the bottom, I will paste that register view function. This is inbuilt function provided by Fortify. And if we'll click on this register view function, we can see this is returning the added view here. So inside this function, basically we are passing the view name, and Fortify will load that view in the front end. Let me add the comment here. This is for register. Okay, this is done. Let's come to the browser now. Let's refresh our application. Yes, we can see now using the Fortify route, we are able to access the front end that was provided by Laravel Breeze package. Okay, now if we'll try to click on register, the required field of this HTML is triggering now. So what I will do, I will remove that from the form. So inside the register.blade.php, we have the required validation added by HTML. So I will remove this required attributes. All right, this is done. Let's come to the browser. Let's refresh now. Now let's try to click on the register button again. Yes, we can see this is triggering the required field validation here. But as of now, we have not added any form submission handling and validation thing for this registration form. So how this is managing by Laravel Fortify? If we'll come to the route list again, here we can see we have the register route defined as a post method, and this is added in the Laravel Fortify registered user controller. All right. So when we are submitting the form, that form action is triggering to this register route. And if we'll come to the VS Code editor again, inside the Fortify service provider, we have the action registered for this create new user. If I will comment this, and if I will refresh this application, if I will try to submit, now you can see this triggered this error, create new users is not instantiable. That means when we are submitting the form, this is triggering this action. Now what is this action actually? So to know more about this action, let's come to the app folder. Inside app, we have the actions folder. Inside this action Fortify, we have the create new user action. Let's open this. Inside this, we have the create function, and this create function consists the form validation for these fields, name, email, and the password. Once the validation is successful, this will insert the form data into the users table. So if we will add dump and die dollar input here, because in the create function, this is capturing the form data in the form of array. Let's come to the browser. Let's go back. Let's refresh the application and let's try to submit this. Yes, we can see the form has been submitted and we are getting the array of the form input fields. So when we submitted the form, this triggered this function. Now let's remove this dump and die and let's refresh now. This triggered the validation. If you want, you can customize the validation error messages in this function itself. So inside this validator make function, we have the validation rules defined. Now here, I will define one more array in order to customize the error messages. So let's suppose if I want to customize the error message for name.required rule, then I will add a message just like please enter your name. Let's check this. Let's submit now. The message has been changed. Similarly, we can update the other messages from here. So let me duplicate this. This will be name.string. Name must be a valid string. Next we have the max rule. So we'll add the message as name must not be larger than 255 chars. Same thing we will add for the email. So I will add email.required. Please enter your email address. String. Email address must be a valid string. And same thing we will add for the email. Next we have the max rule. So I will add it for email max. Email address must not be larger than 255 chars. Lastly, we have the password. So if we'll check the password, inside the password rules, there is a function called as password rules here. Basically, this is one more password rules action, and this password rules action is defined here inside the actions Fortify itself. Here we have the password validation rules. Inside this, we can see we have the password validation rule defined as required, a string, and this is the password default. That means this will check the length. Alright, and this is for the confirmed password. So we can customize the error messages accordingly. Firstly, I will add it for password.required as please enter your password. Next we will have password.string. Password must be a valid string. Yes, this is fine. And here this will validate the validation rules, and accordingly this will display the error messages. After the successful validation, this will insert the user record here in the users table, and it will automatically redirect to the dashboard page. But here in the Laravel Fortify, this will automatically redirect to the home route. If you will check the config folder, inside the config Fortify, we can see the default route is home route. So after the successful login or authentication, this will redirect to this home route. Okay, so let's come to the browser again. Let's try to register first. So I will create a user as programming fields. I will add an email as admin@test.com. Password I will provide 8 characters. Now if I will click on register, we can see this landed on the home route and it said 404. That means this route is not defined here. Let's check the route first. So inside the route list, we can see we don't have the home route defined in the application. So let's create this route manually. So let's search for the web.php route, and here I will enable this route provided by Laravel Breeze. I will change this endpoint name as home and route name will be home. Alright. But for this home route, I will open this dashboard view, and this dashboard page is provided by Laravel Breeze. So inside this views folder, we have the dashboard.blade.php added here. Let's come to the browser. Let's refresh this application. Now this said route dashboard not defined, because Laravel Breeze uses the dashboard route instead of home. So inside the navigation blade or in the dashboard blade, we will have to change this route. So instead of changing the route endpoint in the dashboard blade or in the navigation blade for the views, what I will do, I will keep the route name as dashboard itself. Alright, and I will change this in the config of Fortify. So inside the config Fortify, we have the home path added as /home. So instead of home, we'll change this to dashboard. Okay, this is done. Now let's come to the browser, and if we'll try to refresh this, again this will throw 404, but instead of home, if we'll try to access the dashboard, you will be able to redirect to the dashboard page, but again it said profile.edit not found, because in the Laravel Breeze you have the profile section at the top right corner, and from there this is expecting this profile.edit route. Alright, what I will do, I will comment that option first. So inside this navigation.blade.php, this is added here inside this layouts, navigation. I will comment this profile route. Alright, and also if you scroll down, there will be one more profile edit route for the mobile view. Let's comment this, let's save it. Now let's come to the browser, let's refresh now. Yes, we can see we have landed on the dashboard page after the successful login. Alright, in the profile option, we have the logout now. If we'll click on logout, we have successfully logged out and we have redirected to the home page. Let's try to register one more user. So I will add admin@test.com. Password, I will provide 8 characters. If the email is already taken, then this will throw the error. Alright, I will change this to admin@testmail.com. I will add the password. Let's register now. Yes, again we have registered, and we will be able to click on these dashboard links. Here we have the username displaying, and now if we will try to redirect to the home page, here we have the dashboard option only. We don't have the login and register option because we are already logged into the application. Okay, again if we'll click on the logout, yes, we have redirected to the home page. So that's it for this episode. In the next episode, we will see how we will set up the login page and the login functionality, because currently if we'll click on the login, we can see we are not able to redirect on the login page. So that we will cover in the next episode. So thanks for watching. See you soon in the next episode. Until then, happy coding.